Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And this one I got for you has a duality of two states. One is Oklahoma and one is Florida, and it is encapsulated with a son and what he did to both of his parents, one in one state in Oklahoma and the other one in Florida. And we are reaching a point in society where we are becoming more and more less heartless and demagoguing in many instances. This story is also encapsulated around mental illness, untreated mental illness, domestic violence, which does not always take place between two grown-ups, a husband or a wife. We're seeing many storylines where children are harming, hurting, and even killing their parents. It's almost like the children of the corn. And where are we headed as a society? This story is a very sad and heartbreaking story involved with a son and his two separate parents in separate states. And what he did to both of them is just unbelievable and undeniably horrific. Teen kills his mom in Florida and dad in Oklahoma within 19 months, deputies say. A 17-year-old killed his mother in Florida about a year and a half after he was accused of fatally shooting his father in Oklahoma, Florida, authorities say. Colin Griffin is now charged with first-degree murder in the death of his mother, 39-year-old Catherine Griffin, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said in a September 11th news conference. So he kills his mother in Florida, but 19 months earlier, he allegedly killed his father in Oklahoma. But he got off on that case. He's accused of stabbing his mother to death 19 months after Oklahoma deputies said he called 911 and reported he had shot his father in the chest and head in self-defense 19 months earlier. In February 2023, he was arrested in Lincoln County, Oklahoma, on a probable cause of first-degree murder, but ultimately he wasn't prosecuted after the district attorney's office said investigators could not rule out self-defense. My question is, was there anything else that could have been done, Judd said. Had Oklahoma been able to act, Catherine would be alive and well today. Griffin, who was 15 at the time that he killed his father, said his father had chased him through the house with a knife until he was cornered in his bedroom, where he ultimately shot his dad, deputies said in an affidavit. So just listen to that part. He was chased through the house by his dad with a knife. Okay, but why does a 15-year-old have a gun in his possession? Period. How was he able, if his dad is chasing him with a knife in a house, how does he already have a gun to shoot his dad? And the Oklahoma authorities let him off on that case? Yes, his mother would be alive today. Makes you wonder, had this kid, this is a white young man, had he been of another color or another hue, a little darker, he probably would have been charged for that first murder against his father. Is there a little bit of young white male privilege here with the authorities and their lack of accountability and charging this young man with the first murder of his father? Just makes you wonder. After that case was dropped, he moved to Charlotte County, Florida, to live with his mom, according to Judd. Griffin's time in Florida was marked by violent incidences, including at least 2 times when he threatened to kill his mother, deputies said. November 2023, he was charged with domestic violence battery against his mom, as DV, according to a news release from the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Family told law enforcement they didn't feel safe around Griffin. So remember, he killed his dad 19 months earlier in Oklahoma, goes to live with his mother. He's committing DV against his mother on more than one occasion. And the family, his mother and his grandmother, had informed the authorities that they didn't feel comfortable around him. And he was still out. On September 6th, the son left home following a fight with his mom and went to stay at his grandmother's house in Auburndale while she was away, the sheriff said. 2 days later, his mom drove up to the house to talk to her son when violence erupted again, according to Judd. Witnesses said the son dragged his mom by her hair into the house while she begged him to let her go. About 2 hours later, the teen called 911 and said he and his mom were fighting when she lunged at him with a knife. See how the story? Now remember, the dad was chasing him through the house with a knife, and now he's saying his mother was chasing him through her house with a knife. Then he says that his mother fell on the knife and she was bleeding from her neck, according to deputies. But Judd said further investigation clearly and unequivocally showed that's not what happened. The medical examiner determined the woman couldn't have suffered that kind of wound to her neck accidentally, and the teen was charged with murder, kidnapping, and violation of a no-contact order, deputies said. The sheriff's office has asked the state attorney's office to prosecute Griffin as an adult. He's 17 now. Remember, he killed his dad when he was 15. Judd added that the district attorney's office in Oklahoma said it would consider reopening the case there if Florida investigators find evidence to do so. Auburndale, Florida is about a 50-mile drive east from Tampa. So there's all kinds of stuff in this story. I think Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma, dropped the ball on the first case where this young man shot his father and killed him, shot him in the head and the chest. And allegedly, think about it from a physical standpoint. He's 15 at the time. The dad's a grown man. Most houses are not that big. If a grown man was trying to get to a 15-year-old and wrestle him down, subdue him or anything like that, I think it's highly unlikely that a 15-year-old, even though they're a little quicker and his dad's not in his 50s or 60s, the dad could have got access to him. I think that was a complete unadulterated lie. I think that son shot his father for whatever reason. Mental illness is real. Then subsequently, he moves in with his mother. And think about it as a parent. I know many of you all listening saying, well, the mother probably should not have ever allowed her son to live with her. But come on, that's her son. She didn't know the circumstances in full detail, what was going on with the son and the father in a whole separate different state. And we as parents, we're always going to give our children one chance after another, especially if we see that they are suffering from either a mental illness, an opioid issue. Our children are right at the center of our hearts. So the mother allows him to come stay with her. Oklahoma did not charge. They dropped the charges on this kid at the time when he was 15. Moves in with his mother. Now he's 17, and he tells the same story. Now this time the mother is chasing him with a knife, and subsequently she ends up getting stabbed in the neck, which I believe allegedly was by the son, and she didn't fall on a knife and stab herself in the neck. That sounds completely ludicrous, and it sounds like an excuse and a lie that a teenager would say and think that they could get away with it. There was a history after he killed his father that he committed domestic violence against his own mother on multiple occasions, and law enforcement was aware of that via conversations from the mother and the grandmother. And subsequently, he ends up killing his mother. Where in the world are we headed? these videos and this conversation piece I'm having with my followers is to share information and enlightenment. There's tons of chaos and disruption that is taking place throughout our cities and our states, but there are a lot of chaos and disruption taking place in the four walls of many of our homes here in America. And mental illness, untreated and undiagnosed mental illness, should be at the top of the heap, along with the opioid crisis, for what we need to do to restore a healthy society. Well, I'm seeing way too many stories of not only husbands and wives, men and women, historically that have committed domestic violence against each other, let alone killing a spouse versus getting a divorce. But you're seeing a hell of a lot of stories about children that are killing, many times as young men killing their mothers. The majority of these kids, unfortunately, are being raised in single family fatherless homes. But you're seeing a ton of cases where sons are killing their mothers. And in this case, the anger and the demonic forces that were within this child, he killed both of his parents separately within a 2-year period in separate states. The mythology and the calculated negative energy and feelings that he had for both of his parents is just unbelievable and unsustainable. And you're seeing in today's times, the things that you think are unbelievable become believable. The things that you think are unforeseen become seen. Where are we headed? These are signs of the end of days if we don't get our moral and ethical code and pulse to a higher standard of humanity. This is one of the most inhumane stories I have ever heard, where a son killed both of his parents allegedly in separate states within a 2-year period. Where in the world are we going? Tell me what you think about this case. This is very, very sad and troubling. 17-year-old teen has been accused of committing 2 separate murders on both of his parents. His father early on when he was 15, and then now recently with his mother. And I think the state of Oklahoma has blood on their hands by not forcibly charging this young man with murder in the first case against his father. This kid's name is Colin Griffin. Oklahoma dropped the ball, and the end result was that the state of Florida ends up with a deceased mother at the hands of this young man on a second incident within his same family. The storyline speaks for itself. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.